Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, here with the raw edit of the week. And it's week 31 at this point, and this is kind of going back to the roots of what the raw edit is all about. It's about taking a raw file that is close, or that could be, could be tweaked and just made better. This is a close file. I mean, it's taken at a lower angle. The horizon is a little bit off. It kind of plays into the whole backlighting thing from the kind of like the super secret project backlighting that's going on right now. But this could be taken and made different, and that's the whole point of the raw file and what we're going for with all of this and editing these week after week. I do have an idea about a direction I'd like to go. I want to brighten up the balloon part. I want that to be more of the focus. I want to get some more oomph into the grass, a little bit more vibrance. So I'm going to pull out some yellow most likely. But yeah, I do have a plan for what direction I want to take this, and we'll see where it goes when I start tweaking the exposure over here and all the other sliders that I tend to use. So this was shot at 1/2000th of a second, f8 ISO 200 with 24 millimeters with the 24-70 2.8 with the Nikon D700. So it's interesting. I like the low angle. It's kind of like they're laying in the grass or possibly just laying the camera in the grass and shooting. The balloon area looks to be sharp. There's people over here. We can see that the Virgin Balloon Flights is there. So what do we want to do? Well, I want to bring out the grass here. I want to bring out the balloon. I want to make it pop more. Going to see if we use fill light versus using brightness, which I kind of don't use too often. Just to see what it does here. Let's see the differences. Yeah, so that's playing with the sky a little bit. Or cover the sky. No, pull back. Some yellow. I want it to be a little less warm. Some contrast. Yeah, vibrance is doing it. It's giving me that green I was looking for. The saturation is doing it as well. This lens flare is crazy. That nano coating is amazing. That it doesn't flare out at all. So we're getting there. We're getting somewhere here. No, I don't like that. Don't like that. Like this color. Did exactly what I wanted to so far in making the grass go oomph a little more, bringing out the Virgin balloon itself, making it more of the focus, because the raw file here, there's a long way for it to go, and this is a pretty blah photo until you start making these tweaks and playing around with it. Let's see what else. Some clarity. Am I feeling a vignette or not? Let's see what the vignette ends up looking like, if I can find it down here. I don't want the white vignette. Let's switch that out a little bit. So what I'm trying to do, playing with this feather, I'm trying to draw you in to the center of the photo. And let's turn this off real quick. You can see how it's starting to give you the focus. At least in my opinion, it's giving you the focus into the photo. It's drawing you in with the vignette. And I'm not a huge vignette fan, but I think that it makes this image stronger because it needs it. You need to be drawn into the image. And that's what's going on here. It's drawing you in, and I think that's what's making it better. Let's see if we bring some of these highlights back in. So we've got the sky. No, I don't like that. It kind of gives you a pinhole-y feel. Kind of gives you a pinhole-y feel, which is interesting. I didn't throw any blacks in there. Going to leave that down today. And I think I'm almost there. I think I'm pretty close to where I want it. But yeah, so we went from something that was pretty flat and pretty boring because the sun was really throwing the exposure off, and I made some of those changes like I said I wanted to do up front, pulling out some of the yellow. There's still a bunch of yellow down here in the grass, but as you take it out, it just comes a little too blue in my mind, and I like the feel of this warmth. I'm going to go somewhere in between. We're going to go with that. But yeah, so really this is what it's about with the raw file. It's playing around, having a direction that you want to go, seeing what you can do with it, finding out a few different techniques that are in here, and taking a raw file that started like this and bringing it to something like this, which turned it from a pretty plain image into an image that is really useful and can be used for quite a few things. So, too much black there. I'm going to leave it at that. Well, I'm still tweaking. You know me. I still tweak a little bit. So that's where I'm going to leave it. This is what I'm going to do. Want to see what you guys are going to come up with. But up next is Adam. Let's see what his edit is. I know he likes doing a lot of portraits. This week isn't a portrait, but we'll talk about that a little later on. Adam, you are up.
All right. 99 Luft balloons. We've got this Virgin balloon. And guessing that it being a Virgin balloon flight and a Range Rover, possibly this was shot in England. Anyway, interesting landscape. You've got the law of thirds at its finest. Bottom third right here is the foreground. Top 2/3 is your sky, which being a balloon shot, sky seems kind of natural to be emphasized in this shot here. So let's immediately jump into editing this image here. Now, I would like to open it up. It's a little bit dark. If I grab the exposure, it's just going to blow it out. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to grab the fill light, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to open it up because I really want to see the detail in this grass, and I want that balloon to glow. So I'm actually going to be really exaggerated because I feel like it was quite underexposed. That gives me much more of a sense of time of day right there. I'm going to compensate for that with the blacks a little bit. I'm just masking it off with the Alt key, and I'm just going to keep going. I don't really mind losing the detail in here like that. You know, you can still see the people's heads in the balloon basket. So I'm going to continue to do it and keep it about there. I'm going to add a little bit of contrast just to kind of, you know, sharpen it up a little bit like that. And I definitely want to add some clarity. Yeah, I really like the way that that's going right there. We'll look at the before, we'll look at the after. Big difference right there. I want to add some more vibrance. I want to get some more of those like deep blues in that sky. And look at the way the ground is glowing. Really exciting stuff. Maybe I'm just going to knock this saturation down a little bit. Somewhere around, well, you know, look, we could go all the way down there. But you know what? I want to keep this a color shot. So I'm just going to knock it down just a tad. And white balance, I'd like to warm it up just a little bit right here. So I'm just going to bring that up like that. And, you know, honestly, I don't really like that. I'm going to bring that down. And you know what? I'm going to actually bring it to somewhere around there. You know, we've got like a lot of blues, a lot of greens. You know, it's kind of cool. One thing that keeps, you know, jumping out at me is this little piece of sensor dust. So I'm just going to use my spot remover right there. Bam, just get rid of that. No big deal. Okay, back into the shot right here. You know, sharpening, always sharpen. So I'm just going to bring that up to about 64, mask it off, and bring this to about 70. Bam. Just get the edge detail looking good. And I think that this image really kind of screams out for some highlight post-crop vignetting. So I'm going to bring this down quite a bit, and look at how dramatic that looks. I mean, it really, you know, you really get like a lot of cool stuff going on, you know, comparatively, because we've opened up the inside of the frame here, you know, but we're actually closing it in to keep your attention drawn to the subject, which is that balloon. Okay, so I'm just going to feather this in a little bit like that. Bada boom, bada bing. And yeah, you know, I'm liking the way this looks. Now, does it look realistic? Does it look like the way that it looked like that day? You know, maybe not, but you know, this is about editing, and this is about experimenting and being artistic. And you know, look, if you don't like the edit, go ahead, download the file, edit it, post your edit, and you know, we'd love to see it. I'm sensing that we probably could use a little recovery right there. So I'm just going to bring that up and bring a little more detail into the clouds, something like that. And, you know, the vignetting darkened it up a little bit. So, you know what, we're just going to add a little more fill. Oh, boy, right there. And let's look at the before. Let's look at the after. You know, that's kind of, you know, getting a little bit closer to where I'm at with this. Maybe just add a little bit more contrast, you know, a little more clarity right there. And you know, maybe this edit, you know, maybe this isn't hitting it out of the park, so to speak. But as far as the before and after, I think that there's a little bit more interest in the image right now. I'm actually just going to bring the white balance, the color temperature down just a little bit. And you know what? I'm actually going to leave my edit right about there. So, yep, that's it. Let's go to you, Jared.
All right, and we're back. Here's Adam. Adam's photo's in the top right corner. Mine is in the top left. And the user-submitted image is in the bottom middle. So what'd you think about this edit?
This one was a little bit of a challenge. The image when it first came out or came over was like a little underexposed, and I think some weeks you kind of hit it out of the park with an edit or try to, and not every week is going to be like that. I have to say I really like what you did with yours. I like the way that you kind of did like what would be like maybe a Holga looking type of shot.
Yeah, I kept saying pinhole type of shot in mine. It just gave me that feel because it's not lined up straight, and you can see that the photographer lined theirs up. They used, it looks like lens correction as well as lining it up straight.
Yeah, and it looks a little bit odd because the balloon is kind of leaning.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
My impression is that this was shot on a hill. From a low vantage point, and that's why it looks that way, because the balloon to me looks upright.
Well, it also looks like they were, like I said in mine, that they were down in the grass, like shooting, laying down.
That's very possible.
Just because you can see the blades of grass in the bottom. In mine, I felt like that like I said, I pulled back on the yellow. I didn't want it super duper, uber duper warm. I may have gone a little too far on the coolness, but I don't know, it kind of had that very, like I said again, pinhole-y feel, just something simple, because getting back to the whole basics behind the whole raw edits from day one till now, it's not just about taking a perfect image and making it better. It's about taking an image that that basically shows why we shoot raw, that you have the ability to make those changes and to bring an image back and do something with it, and that's what I think we did here. Yeah,
I mean, this is a challenging shot. I mean, I guess that if I came back from a shoot and this was in the batch of images, would I have been drawn to editing this one at first? Maybe not. But that's the nice thing about shooting raw and with Lightroom, is that you can go back to an image like this and see what you can do with it, and open it up and see where you can take it.
Yeah, and that's, again, very interesting, and that's the whole point of learning here, is seeing what you can do with these raw files and just bringing them back and just learn again from each other. So it's always interesting. It's going to be interesting again this week to see what we come up with. I don't think we're going to have too many diverse images. I think this is a great exercise for trying to save the image and rescue the image and bring it back from, its backlit status into basically what you see here.
I mean, I can only imagine that there's going to be some folks that are going to go black and white, and I'd love to see that. I thought about going black and white, but I think that we'll probably get some of that.
Sure.
And other than that, I mean, I don't know. We'll just see what people do.
Yeah, and on that black and white thing, it's like I didn't even think about it when I started doing mine. I laid out a plan of attack that I wanted to go for before I started editing.
Right.
And then after I finished recording, I went and threw it in black and white just to see what would happen. But to me, the balloon was too glowy. It didn't have enough contrast, so that's why I didn't, go and make another edit that way.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing with black and white. When you have red, red just, I mean, that becomes like a black.
Sure.
So, that was a tough one. And the whole idea was not the whole idea, but part of what I wanted to do was to really accentuate the backlit effect of the balloon so that you could really see it.
Yeah, I think we have a nice starburst in ours. You have one, I have one, and I guess his is there too. It looks a little more burned out. Well, even mine has a nice big white hole right in the middle.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I used some recovery on mine to try to rein it in a little bit. And I also saw that there was some of the flares that were also in these clouds, which was kind of cool. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'd be interested to see what people what plugins they throw it through, because if you dirty it up a little bit and make it more artistic, then you're going to get some interesting edits out of it. So that's where we'll leave it, Adam. How you doing? How you doing? Thank you very much.
How you doing?
Long week.
All right.
All right, Adam, thanks. And for you guys, let's get back to submitting some portraits. Get outside, shoot some portraits, even if they're inside in the studio. Let's get some of those interesting ones. People seem to like editing those. So let's see what you're photographing, whether it's a girl, a guy, a dog, a cat. I mean, let's try to keep it human beings because they seem to be fun to edit. Interesting scenes and things like that, especially with the nicer weather outside, at least around here. You should be able to get outside and get some cool photos. So send those in to froKnowsPhoto@gmail.com, and maybe we will be editing your raw file in the coming weeks. All right, Adam, signing off.
All right, see ya.
All right, Jared Polin, froKnowsPhoto.com. See ya!